Hey everyone, my name is Danilo Petrovic.
I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Denis Kudla.
I'm Evgeny Donskoy.
I'm Henry Laaksonen.
I'm Peter Torebko, and you're listening to the Game to Love podcast.
Welcome back, tennis fans. Wow, we didn't expect to be bringing you another podcast so soon, but here we are with what crazy news we've been having all day today, and it has ended up with Novak Djokovic being denied entry to Australia, and it's apparently him going to be deported on Thursday unless there's an appeal from his lawyers. Crazy day. I mean, it's been topsy-turvy, hasn't it, JG? We've sort of just seen it, the whole roller coaster of a ride that we've been having over this news.
I've not seen a day like it in tennis, if I'm honest. It's not been, we're not talking about the tennis, we're talking about things no one really wants to be discussing. And yeah, Djokovic denied entry to Australia. He flew there. He was awarded an exemption from Tennis Australia based off the grounds of two medical professionals. He had the correct paperwork to go. Mid-flight, it come out. So Djokovic doesn't know about this. It comes out that all of a sudden he's used the wrong visa, or someone in his team's used the wrong visa to apply for him to be going there. So instantly you're thinking, how do they know that he's used the wrong visa before he's landed? I'm starting to think that's a bit strange. He then gets there, ushered into a room, in there for 9 hours or so. Yeah. No mobile phone. The mobile phone was handed to him later on. We had the whole mobile phone saga. Yeah. And ultimately it's ended with waiting for the whole sort of night to pass and go into the morning in Australia. And he's been sent home. It is something I didn't expect to happen. People know my views on the last one. I would admit I was highly emotional on that one. And maybe I didn't really spread the blame evenly, because as much as I was putting a lot on Djokovic, you've got to be honest, the biggest party to blame here is Australia on what they've been able to do. It's just an absolute travesty of a mess. Tennis Australia, the government, everything has just been a mess from start to finish. You don't give a player an exemption to an event, wait for them to get there, and then say, oh, cheerio, mate, you're going home. I know they're two different entities. This is the border and this is sort of Tennis Australia. They're two different things altogether. It just sucks, man.
It's very, very strange how it's been allowed to happen in this way, shape or form. And I can't quite believe it, if I'm honest, that I was saying to you, even off stream during the day, and I just thought, how is it possible that you've got Tennis Australia and you've got these medical exemptions, you've got all of this stuff? Are Tennis Australia not working within their own country and speaking to the people necessary to actually allow Djokovic into the country, like when he does arrive? Or is there something that's gone wrong in Djokovic's team? But surely he has the best people around him. You've got to think, this guy is the highest earning tennis player, nearly prize money of all time, and he probably has the best lawyers, the best doctors, the best whatever he wants. It seems to me strange that there would be something wrong with his paperwork. That would have been checked, double checked, triple checked, and they would have probably done it.
I remember I broke the news to you, didn't you? I sent you the tweet and you was like, that's impossible. You didn't believe it, did you? No. You thought, how could they get something wrong like that? It just seemed very bizarre. Australia have absolutely made a hash of it. I think the problem with this now is the repercussions. It's going to send shockwaves all across the world. Not in tennis either. I think everyone's going to be talking about it from a political standpoint. Yes. The whole anti-vax vaccine movement. Obviously, Djokovic, we don't know what he is. I've already said my views. I think he's someone who will not take the vaccine, and he's not taking it. But that's my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own one. This has created a shockwaves, big, really, and I don't know what's going to happen now. I don't know what the next steps are going to be. He's going to be fighting it. Does that mean that potentially this could be reversed yet again? How many backtracks can they do? The main issue I had before on the last podcast was I wanted everyone to have an even playing field. And I didn't like the prospect of someone a little bit more privileged being enabled to go to an event when others weren't able to go. That was my big thing.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. They put these medical exemptions in for people who are justified with their reasoning for acquiring them. We obviously don't know. This is the one thing. There's a lot of speculation around everything. We don't know hardcore facts around lots of certain things like vaccine status and perhaps medical conditions which are private to Novak Djokovic. We don't really know enough information to give you a pure, honest answer of like a real opinion. Because if it was to say, no, I'm not vaccinated, no, there's nothing wrong with me, then we could probably take a harder stance and say, well, that's just not on them, really, is it? But there's always this grey area when you don't know all the facts, unfortunately.
Listen, there's so many people saying different things. We can't jump to too many conclusions. I think that's what I've been guilty of doing in the past. I have seen sources saying the documents he provided from these two scientists or whoever they were, medical professionals, they're not sufficient enough. And the border control in Australia looked at the exemptions and it wasn't enough. But that's only what I've heard from sources. We don't know that as confirmation yet. Ultimately, if he would have been vaccinated, he would be there and there would be no drama. But who am I to tell people to get vaccinated? It's everyone's own choice. I understand a lot of people don't like the idea of mandatory vaccines and mandating the whole thing because everyone likes the freedom of choice. And that I have to respect. I'm someone who has been vaccinated. You're someone who's been vaccinated.
Yep.
If he doesn't want to get vaccinated, that's his decision. But you've got to understand, with that comes consequences. And the rules in Australia is you're not allowed there if you're not vaccinated. So therefore, he's taken that on board. He's made his choice, but then they've made their choice. So with that, I can understand it. But then why would Tennis Australia give him grounds of an exemption, send him all the way there, and then send him back? For me, that's cruel. I don't like that. I'm actually very against that more than anything. It's not fair, and it's just it doesn't seem like it seems like it's a plot against him at this point. I must admit.
What I don't understand is how are they not? How is there no contact with anything? Like, is there no way of Djokovic before he leaves to go to Australia to send the medical exemption forms or whatever his proof of going through border control to someone in Australia for them to verify it to say this is grounds for you coming into the country? How is that not possible? It seems ridiculous that he can't get that checked before he goes. How come he has to get right there after a 9-hour or however long, 12-hour flight? I don't know how long it took him to get there. And then when he gets there, he gets held in a room for 9 hours. Like, I just think that there's been such bad organization on this. And I know
No. Let me clarify though, Ben. That happens to anyone.
Yeah.
Everyone that happens to. If you go to Australia and you've not got the visa, that's what happens.
Yeah, but it should.
It should. No, that should happen. That's what happens.
Yes, I know it should happen, but he shouldn't have been in that position. That's what I mean. Like,
exactly. Yeah, he shouldn't be in that position because he shouldn't have been initially given the green flag to go if it was going to be an issue. I know there's so many good live chats coming in. Shout out to Vance for the super chat.
Cheers,
Vance. How can the exemption reason not be enough? Wouldn't they provide the reason in the exemption since it was granted? Australia is wrong here. Yes, I agree with that completely. Australia are the biggest people to blame, particularly Craig Tiley and that whole crew, to be fair. I'm not sure what they're playing at.
I have no idea.
I think there needs to be repercussions for them, if I'm honest, because what are they playing at? Setting up a tournament was like a circus.
It's just, they've got a lot to answer to be honest. I mean, I'd love to hear their explanation after this, or how this all went the way it did, because they must have given him the okay to travel. And if you're giving somebody, and like Gene's saying, sorry, Gene, I missed it. He said he traveled for 20 hours apparently. So if somebody's flying halfway across, not only the risks of He's flying. It's a danger in itself. He's got to fly for 20 hours. Anything can happen. So
What
I'm
do
sure.
what do you think the reason of the exemption is?
I have no idea, and that's the honest truth. I have
Because I've seen
literally
some people saying if he's
no
had the
idea.
vaccine, no, sorry,
Oh,
if he's had the the
COVID
virus within the
within
last 6 months,
yeah.
then he will
I
be able
heard
to prove some kind of antibody immunity test, and that would therefore make him exempt.
mm,
But I'm not sure on the legitimacy of that. The only other one I can think of is sort of an acute medical
yeah with a
illness,
medical
is it?
condition. Yeah.
Medical condition.
That one that you were saying, the first one, yeah, I did hear that one. If they had or been exposed to COVID recently, and then I saw somebody. I know this is all speculation, so don't take it the wrong way. But somebody had said if he had been exposed to COVID, he was pictured at a basketball match recently with a
Yeah, saw
guy
that.
who they were both unmasked, and the guy who was in the picture with him arm in arm actually did test positive, and that was on the 15th of December. That photo, I believe that photo was posted, or
Potentially could have had COVID after that, kept it under wraps, been
we
able to
don't know.
prove it in an antibody test. There's so many things. Let's not speculate too
No,
much.
it's
There is a lot of
speculation.
really good comments coming in. Appreciate all of them, guys. FT Formula, I like this one. All one big political stunt, a power play of sorts. Could it be the Australian sort of government has formulated this master plan? Because I tell you, it seems cruel what's happened.
Yeah.
To give someone the green flag and then just retract it after they've got there.
Oh,
I don't like that. It's not a very good look
horrible
for the sport or Australia. Have they done this to be like, you know what? We're going to make an example of the world number one of the richest, most successful sports stars in the world, someone who's won the Australian Open 9 times. Are we going to make an example of him and show the Australian people we mean business?
It's rude.
Is it all a bigger political stunt and they've used him as a sort of a pawn in that game?
If that's the case, I mean, that takes it to the next
The
level.
reason I say that is because how did Border Control know what visa Djokovic had while he was mid-flight? I still don't understand that. Let me know in the live chat if I'm not making sense. But they knew exactly that he'd have gone for the wrong visa. Is it because you do it before from his departing airport? I'm not sure how it works.
Maybe. I mean, I know that when you travel to, I've only ever done it once, but travel to, say, America, you have to fill out like a pre-form, like an ESTA, I think it's called, to be able to travel to New York or to America. So it might be something along those lines that he might have had to have filled out before, but it seems a little bit strange that you would get that type of any simple forms wrong before traveling. He's probably traveled there how many times? He's obviously traveled there 9 times because he's won it 9 times.
Yeah.
So for me, it just seems that there's something. How did they know it was the wrong form? Like, it doesn't make sense. Mid-flight. Why mid-flight? It's just something very weird going on. Either there's very wrong information being thrown around, or I don't know, there's foul play underfoot. And
well, let's wait and see. I'm sure there's going to be a big investigation. This is not the last of it. I know it's all unfolded today, but this is just the beginning, I feel. This is day one. The Australian Open has not started yet, but this is going to roll on for months. I honestly believe so, because this is a real political movement rather than just the whole, we're not allowing Djokovic to play. Ollie here has something fascinating what he said. Visa cancellation and deportation often comes with a 3-year ban from entering Australia. I don't know how the legitimacy of what he's saying there, but if that is the case, would mean Djokovic can't play the Australian Open for what, 3 years?
Maybe the rest of his career. You never know. Well, if that is the case, I'm sure that won't be the case, though. There's part of me that thinks they'll probably, if he doesn't get allowed in this time, there's going to be a massive. This won't be the end of this. There's no chance that this is just going to end at, I just go home and then that's the end. No, I think there's going to be a massive uproar. The Serbian government are probably going to get involved with this as well. This is bigger, unfortunately, than just a tennis tournament now. It's not. It's about like sort of human rights for Novak Djokovic, and the Serbian was it prime minister or president who was coming out speaking, giving all of his support for Novak, which must be nice to know that you've got the whole country on your side. But it doesn't sound good. And obviously we had his dad. His dad was sending some messages out there of support as well, saying that we're filling the streets or something with support from everybody in Serbia or something like that. And it's nice to hear how much support he's got, but it doesn't really give him a leg to stand on when he's there in Australia. All it's just him and two guys in a room by the sounds of it, and him just under interrogation without his phone. They've taken that off him. I'm guessing they just do that to everybody. So I'm guessing he's not under any special treatment. They're not just going to bully him or something like that. If he comes out with like a broken leg and two black eyes, then I think then we'll know there's something else going on. But I don't think that's going to be happening.
This is just the beginning. We've got another tweet coming here. Oseen Shine. This could cause a bit more controversy. The visa Djokovic was using to gain entry to Australia was the same one used by 3 other tennis players already granted permission. Sources close to Oz Open tell Reuters. Of course, all of what we're saying right now is speculation. We don't know. We're just reading the news as it happens. But how crazy would that be? If 3 other tennis players have been allowed in under the same visa and Djokovic hasn't, then I think, well, this will just be the start of it. And I think Djokovic could have a really good, strong case for court and things could be overturned. And listen, there's going to be serious repercussions for the Australian Open. Who's to say? I don't know. Will the whole event be called off?
What do you reckon? There's I don't know. I reckon I've thought of some. Even though this is a very like serious subject, there was still some like comedy sketches in my mind that he's in the room. He's got 2 police officers with him in the interrogation, and then they say you're going to have to wait there, and then they close the door, and the 2 police officers walk out, and then they pull the mask off, and it's Federer and Rafa.
Well, we've seen all the memes today. A lot of them have been pretty funny, I must admit. I just want to give a shout out to Jamie Drummer for the super chat. Appreciate that, mate. He's saying with all this controversy trying to get in, I wouldn't rate his chances if he does play Australian Open. I would never write him off. I think he will have a lot of fire in his belly. If this is to be reversed and he is allowed to play, then I would never ever write him off in Australia. So I know you spoke about Rafa earlier as well, Jamie. Appreciate the super chat on that one as well. We're not ignoring. We will be touching on that later on. Right now, we're just covering the news as it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, this one is sort of an open-ended podcast. We're just going to be keeping an eye on the live news as well, and just try and bring you any updates as anything comes in as well. So, and we'll try and just go through a few of the tweets and stuff that have been flying around since the news did come out as well. We just thought it's just so important to speak about. I mean, it's all we've been talking about all day, to be honest, off the stream. So
it's been hard to work today because this has been dominating everything. It's dominating the news. 12 Travel 21 makes a good point. But the other 3 who have been allowed in on that same visa, do they have the same health conditions? That's a good point. And that brings it back to this whole exemption thing. I've said my stance on it. It's a full circle now. Yeah. And what I said on the last podcast, a lot of people didn't like what I had to say. But I was going along the lines of, I did not believe it's a genuine exemption. That's my opinion on it. I've got no reason to believe that. But you've got no reason to believe him that it is genuine. I think that works the same way. I don't believe someone of his success has been hiding a medical condition for however many years he's been playing. And he's been that successful and arguably the greatest athlete we've ever seen. I just don't buy it. I'd be astonished. I think it would be an amazing film if he has had some awful health medical condition his whole career and he's won so much. It'll make a brilliant Netflix documentary.
Well, I saw there was a tweet, wasn't there, being pushed around that said, I think we've all been fooled. He said he's definitely the greatest player of all time. If he's won 20 Grand Slams and he's had this debilitating medical condition the whole time.
Exactly.
It was obviously a little bit of a jest saying that they don't believe it, I'm guessing. But
well, I don't personally believe it. I know that's just my thing. And clearly, the Australian government at the border, they've found it very difficult to believe it based off the evidence. Of course, they know a lot more than us. They've seen the paperwork in front of them, and they looked at it and they thought, "Sorry, mate, it's just we don't accept it."
It just seems so strange to me, though. I know I don't want to keep going over and the same thing, but the communication is then. I don't know if anybody knows or if anybody's lives in Australia, who's in our live chat and knows if there's any relationship between like obviously government and tennis tournaments and obviously border control as well. There must be a link between all of these people, because it's such a big thing which is going on right now. It's sort of the focal point of January in Australia, the Australian Open. So you'd think all of the people would have to be involved in something this huge that involves so many thousands of people going to an event during a time like this. It would only make sense that everybody would be involved in this sort of thing. And that's the thing that I can't get my head around, how this is happening. It just
one
doesn't
thing I
make
want to
sense.
address is I want to talk about this as well, because I've had a lot of comments saying this. Since the vax doesn't prevent anyone from getting and spreading COVID anyways, what's the difference? Really good question. If you look at the AstraZeneca jab as well,
Yeah.
it doesn't really cover you for the newest variant. Omicron, is it?
Yeah.
That one, it doesn't cover you for it. So
No.
really, what is it even doing to begin with? I would agree with that. This is not about whether you want vaccines or not. I took them on my own accord, but I do believe in the freedom of an individual to choose. However, you've got to understand the repercussions of you being able to choose, meaning that some people can say, you know what, you're not coming in here. You're not allowed in my bar. You're not allowed on this plane. You're not allowed to go there. They've got a right to do that. And like you've got a right not to have the jab. The reason I didn't like the whole thing was because it's not about what the vaccine actually does. It's about making it fair for everyone. And if everyone has to be vaccinated to go somewhere, and people have had to do it against their will, Australian people, a lot of them didn't want to be vaccinated, but they was told you have to do this. I just don't think it's very fair for then some people who have a little bit more power and privilege to then be like, you know what? They've all done it. Leave them. They're the ones who pay my wages by supporting me. Forget them. I don't want to do it myself. This is not fair. People have suffered during this pandemic so much. We've had our whole lives sort of ripped away from us. We've not been able to do the things we want to do. You're not being able to see loved ones, not being able to go to funerals, weddings, so many big things. But yet someone who has a little bit more money, just because they can throw it around, they're able to go somewhere. That's what I just didn't like.
Yeah, there's it's the main thing which is causing a divide. As we know, the whole world, it seems right now, is divided. I know that there's probably a lot of people out there that think that's the design of all of these decisions, because they want people to be more divided. And there's like sort of agendas being pushed as well. I've been watching or listening to a few other podcasts, and they're talking about stuff like this, about the way this constant like fear is being used to like push other things at the people in society, just try and slip things under the radar whilst everyone's talking about this. I mean, it's a crazy time right now, and I'm not a fan of it. Who is? It's horrible, but I'm one of these people, unfortunately. I'm just, if they say I've got to do this to go somewhere, I'm going to do it. And that's just the way, that's just the type of person I am. Call me what you want, but that's just what we have to sort of comply to be able to do anything really in the UK. And there's still people protesting in the UK though as well. There's still, like, we had protests before Christmas, like 50,000 people on the streets in London protesting. I don't like it, because there's always, it's just pushing like people like locking horns with each other all the time, and the sooner
it's divided so many people. That's the thing. Like, I don't want to spread hatred. I don't want to spread division. So many people dislike what I have to say on this, but I want to try and I'm not trying to argue with you guys at all. I'm just saying how I feel about it. You're entitled to your thing. Someone was saying, "Oh, I'm going to take," where is it? Not this one. There's another one.
Yeah, that one.
There was another one which talking about basically queuing up for your boosters as well.
Yeah.
Saying, I think it was Steve. I can't see it now. It's gone. He was saying, "Are you going to be taking boosters for life?" If I'm honest, probably not. To be honest, I think I'm coming to an end of it myself. We was talking about it as well the other day, like last week. If it comes to taking another one and another one and another one, these variants are getting weaker and weaker as they go. This one here, I'm not too worried about it. I've been saying to you, I don't think it's a big deal. I really don't. I think a lot of the people who are dying from this thing right now, if I'm being honest, are people who are quite sick anyway with certain conditions.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair that they should have to get it though. But then the vaccine's not preventing you sort of spreading it anyway. So I'm coming to the point where I don't think I am going to continue taking vaccines myself now. But that's a personal point. Up until now, I thought it was the best measures to take, because what it's stopping you doing, it's not stopping you from getting the virus, but it's stopping hospitalizations and helping reduce the effects of when you get coronavirus. That's all it is. And in the UK, it's rife at the moment. Everyone's getting it. That's the only reason.
No, this one's like fast spreading, isn't it? So that's the thing at the moment. Like, this is the one that's fast spreading, and it's fast spreading worldwide. And like you said, I've listened to multiple podcasts now of like scientists, doctors, and they're saying that they will just keep getting weaker, the variants, and that's what the virus.
We watched that same thing together. We watched the scientists talking about it, and it made total sense. Right now, this most recent variant isn't as bad as the previous few. The next one after this, because there will be another one, won't be as bad as this one.
They compared
so
it
eventually
to all
we have to just live our lives as normal. The Australian Open, you can go on about their rules saying they're super strict and super this. They've been able to keep the lowest death rate. They've done quite well with that. Yeah. Do I think it's too strict right now? Probably is, if I'm honest. But that's the rules. That's what people have to follow there. Why should someone from outside of that be able to go there when the people of Australia have suffered so much? It's not fair on them. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. They are getting weaker all the time, and that's what they said on that one. It's following the same trajectory as all other pandemics as well. This is normally, it will just gradually fade out, and that's what the virus will tend to do. The virus doesn't like people dying. The virus would much prefer everybody to just be living with you in it. And that's the whole thing about it. It doesn't want to kill people. It wants everybody. It wants to be able to survive in lots and lots of people. So it becomes weaker and weaker, and it will go into everybody eventually, and you'll just live with it. And that's just the way these viruses work. And that's just the way it is. And it will just be so weak, people won't even know. And then you'll be back to normal life again.
Well, it'll be like a cold. The cold's probably going to be worse.
Exactly.
We've got a really good tweet here I'm going to read out, because this is exactly how we started this video. You can wind it back. I know we've got some new people joining us now. Me and Ben pretty much agree on this standpoint, so I'm going to read it out anyway. The epic failure by the Australian government is not the actual decision, as awful as you might think it is. It's the process which led up to it. You can't tell someone yes and then tell someone, actually, no. That's a horrible way to treat people. And that is what we both agree with. Is that right? I'm not speaking for you.
Totally agree, mate. I was just noticing Gene was just saying Jose Morgado just put out a tweet just regarding what was going on with the latest news on Novak, which would be good to stay up to date with. He's being... where does it say it? Have you got Jose stuff there? Ping it over if you can find it. I just had it and it just refreshed.
Yeah, I've got it here, mate. But it's nothing new. It's just all the normal stuff. You've just got the Australian Health Minister talking. I have sent you that tweet already, mate.
But there was one he literally just posted like 30 seconds ago. It was quite interesting, Jose.
No, it's not on there now.
Oh, has he removed it then?
No, it's not there. I think it's an old one you've got. You might have not refreshed it, mate.
No, it was literally just came in, because I did refresh it and it just came up. But anyway,
well, it's not there. We can have a look now. It's not on there. So
no, it's gone again. So he might have taken it off.
No, I think it's because on the computer. Are you on your computer?
Yeah.
It says that when you've not refreshed the page. It's an old tweet.
No, but I started a new page.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
fair enough.
That's what because Gene said in the live chat. But anyway. Did you want to move on to
let's go through some of them, because I sent you some more recent ones as well. Let's have a look at these. I'll let you read them out.
Sure. So this one was from Clint Stanaway. And as you can see, a sports presenter, news presenter over there in Australia, saying the world number one, Djokovic, remains in Melbourne Airport after his arrival just before midnight. His visa got cancelled, obviously, by the Australian Border Force. I understand he will now challenge the decision in the Victorian court. Sounds very old school, doesn't it? The Victorian courts, like we're going back to the 1900s or something. Sounds like a long time ago now, doesn't it? But it's not that long ago. They go in there and they're all wearing like the black and white, the old school gowns, things like that. Maybe Djokovic will have to dress in some old school outfits when he goes in there. Next one.
Move on to another one. I think these ones we've already sort of touched on.
Yeah.
This is just the same sort of news as it was breaking. We've gone through these. Let's have a look at Greg Hunt, what he said. Of course, Australia's health minister, he confirmed Djokovic has failed to provide appropriate standards of proof to enter the country and that it will be sent home. We know that is the wrong visa. Does that also mean his exemption papers are not sufficient as well? I have seen stories saying that too. But let's wait and see. We don't know yet. That's why they go to court, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Next one up, we've got Mr. Silk. He's there, and he's saying, okay, here's where we're at. Number one, Australia wants to deport Djokovic. Number two, Djokovic takes out federal injunction. Now, number three, didn't supply sufficient evidence for exemption. 4, Serbia president accuses Australia of maltreatment of Djokovic as well, which we did touch on briefly as well.
Yeah, well, Serbia are really sticking with their man and trying to do whatever they can to change and alter this decision. They're going to support Djokovic through this. Let's see what happens. If that's going to be enough, I feel like they're very stubborn, the Australian government. If we've seen anything by their rules, they've got some of the strictest rules you can find. And I just don't think they're going to go back on it. I think I'm more along the lines of this is a sort of a political excuse in terms of they've got him all the way there to send him back to show, you know what, we are powerful. They're like flexing their muscles. It's like when you go out to a club and you have the bouncers on the door and they look at you and they think, you know what, I'm not going to let him in today. Because a lot of them, I'm not going to say that, but a lot of them do have sort of power plays and they love the power. I feel like that's what the Australian government are like. They're like, you know what, we're going to be able to do this because we can do it. And that really sucks. That part of it, this is what the whole focus should be on. I think people should focus their energy on that more than anything. But Djokovic, if he could have sorted this whole thing out from the first minute. If I'm honest, if he would have got jabbed to begin with, he could have been there.
Don't go down that road.
No, is that not true?
It is true. Yeah. Well, it was pretty easy way to get it done. But if he is a man who is of principles and he is a man, obviously we know another famous person.
I respect him a lot more for that. I said it to John Silk on our podcast we did us three. I respect Djokovic a lot more for being a man of his principles and standing with the fact that he doesn't believe in the vaccine. I know he's not said that. I can't say certain things because everyone's going to jump down my neck. But ultimately, he's someone I'm pretty confident who's not been vaccinated and he doesn't really believe in the vaccine, doesn't want the vaccine, prefers sort of natural remedies, which is fair enough. But because of that, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. I was saying to you, obviously, I'm an avid listener of the Joe Rogan podcast as well. And I'm sure there's many people around the world. He's obviously the most popular podcast on the planet. And probably one of the biggest names that is quite open about the fact that he is not vaccinated. And he goes down the route of speaking to many different doctors that he has as friends, ones that come on to his podcast. And they actually prescribing him things to get over COVID, but he is happy just to live with the antibodies, and he feels that he is strong enough to fight off anything, and he feels that having the antibodies will restrict him from contracting it again, and that's the way he feels. Sorry if I'm butchering.
Sorry, who was this?
Joe Rogan. So this is like that's probably one of the most famous people. That's what I was saying. I want to see Djokovic on Joe Rogan's podcast. If he can go on there, I think it might break the internet. I think.
And what's your opinion on them?
That's
Joe Rogan's. That's everyone. What's your opinion on it?
On vaccines themselves? Yeah. Well, I can only give my opinion based upon the people that I've listened to on either on the news or on the people that go on these podcasts, these top scientists, and they say vaccines do work. So it's not like they're not lying and saying they don't work, because they do work. But it's just up to people, because it is a thing as well that it does work having antibodies as well. That's not a lie either. Both of them are strictly true, but the only way that they're sort of trying to get people, they want everybody in the same basket, pretty much, so that they know that everybody is safe. It's like and then people will say it's a conspiracy. That's not what they're trying to tell you. They're trying to tell you that they want to keep you safe, but they're trying to put microchips in you or something. No, I don't know. I don't want to go down any conspiracy routes or anything like that. I just listen to what they say. They say it works, but they normally see both sides of an argument. They say it does work, but people can still survive without it. But you don't know if you have no medical condition. If you have a medical condition you don't know about, then you might be susceptible to it potentially if you weren't vaccinated. And I know that Joe Rogan, he had one of his good friends. He actually came down. He was in hospital, really badly hospitalized with it. So. Yeah. Anyway,
quickly, mate. I don't know. There is a tweet I would like to pull up. I have just sent you. It was Clint Stanaway.
Sure.
He tweeted this as we went live. It's quite a new update on the most recent stuff. What's happening? I'll let you bring it up on the screen and read it. This guy's a sports presenter for 9 News Australia. Not sure what else he does, but this is what he said. So this is the update.
That was the one I saw. I thought Magado retweeted. It must have been this guy. It came up on my stream, so apologies. So anyway, update. Novak Djokovic to remain in Melbourne for the time being, but ultimately it's likely to be a day trip. He's about to be transported to a city quarantine hotel run by the federal government. Arrangements are now underway to source a return flight to Europe, likely today. Wow.
Really is crazy. Let's break that down. So he's about to be transported to a city quarantine hotel run by the federal government.
Sounds like a prison, doesn't it? Without sounding dramatic, it does sound a little bit. Doesn't sound nice, does it?
Yeah, it's pretty severe, isn't it? And arrangements are now underway to source a return flight to Europe, likely today. So let's remember, in Australia right now, is it about 9 a.m.? Am I completely away with it?
Yeah, it's something around that time. Yeah, I think it's around
about
9 a.m.
9:30, I think, something like that, coming up to 10 a.m. So if it's going to be likely today, listen, the day's ticking on. We're going to have to wait and see. We're obviously going to be going to bed. I'm pretty sure we were waking up to the news to whether Djokovic is still there or not. And that's going to determine, I think, what's going to be happening. Because I think if we are to wake up and he's still there and he's not had his flight arranged, I think there's going to be another twist in this story and he could still yet play the Australian Open. I wouldn't be surprised, Ben. I really wouldn't if we've got another twist in the story. Yeah.
So topsy-turvy. I mean, we could have done about an 11-hour stream, I think, today. We could have just stayed on.
Look what Edgar's saying. Edgar's saying Ben needs to make this into a movie. We was actually thinking about making a song. Well, I say we. Ben was going to start making a song. We was going to do it on a sort of a comedic thing because it has been a bit of a comedy, really. A comedy of errors.
Yeah,
it's not really that funny. It is a comedy of what's going on, but it's very severe. I think like I keep saying, the repercussions of this is going to be huge. It's going to send shockwaves across the world, and everyone's going to be talking about this for so long. And all it's going to do, I feel, is divide people further. It's another tool which has been used by governments. I don't want to get onto the UK government because I've got enough to say about them and what they've been doing.
Please
we'll save that for another podcast. But what they've been doing is just dividing everyone. And this is another thing what's happened, which I think is going to divide people more than ever.
Yeah, I think so too.
And is the song coming out?
Yeah, well, you never know. We've got George in the live chat here saying, Ben, can you get the best memes from Twitter and do a comedic song over the top? Well, it's possible because there's been quite a number.
There's a lot of good memes. So, that would work quite well. So stay tuned on that one.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Really, it is like a satire. It's not even funny, but it's become, like you said, comedy of errors. And it just seems like, what's the next twist in the tail? It's almost like there wasn't any tennis on, and now suddenly we've got tennis on and we want to focus on it, and we can't focus on it because this story is like taking over everything. We got Nadal's playing his first match. That's coming up tomorrow. Everyone's forgot about Nadal. Maybe this is all Djokovic's plan, just to overshadow Nadal's return. Maybe he's going to release, but as soon as Nadal goes on court, Djokovic will go into court, maybe, and then we'll have the two of them. Which one gets the most views in the live stream? Djokovic in court or Nadal on court? I don't know.
We got Soup here saying, I live 5 kilometers from Melbourne Airport. Novak will be sent or is in the process of being sent to a border force hotel, which is run by the federal government. Yeah, that's pretty much what we were saying there. Is there any other tweets you've got there? You want to move over to the next one?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there was one from Scott Morrison.
Yeah, I did send you it, I think.
Yeah, this one?
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. Yes, this one, Mr. Djokovic, refers to him as Mr. Djokovic, which is interesting. So that's a very interesting way of doing things as well, because that automatically sets the divide between you and that person. It's very formal. It's like you're not you're totally removing the possibility that you could be friends with that person. You're there, Mr. Djokovic. So Mr. Djokovic's visa has been cancelled. Rules are rules, especially when it comes to our borders. No one is above these rules. Our strong border policies have been critical to Australia having one of the lowest death rates in the world from COVID. We are continuing to be vigilant.
And I've got another thing I've thought of as well. I've just seen it on my thing. I've seen part of it, but I've just thought of something. Djokovic is the 3 Ds. Do you know what they
are? No, go on.
US Open, defaulted.
Yeah.
After that, dominated. And now...
defaulted.
Defaulted. Djokovic has been... All three of them, he's had...
He's going to do the calendar year slam next.
Defaulted, dominated, deported.
Defaulted, dominated.
The title.
Yeah, well, that should have. Maybe it'll be the song.
I just thought of the song.
You just nailed it. The 3 Ds. But wow,
could have 4. Just Djokovic, Triple D. Jeans. You could call the song Triple D.
Triple D. I know. I'm sure people will come up with some other. Yeah, quadruple D. If
you got Vance there saying he's such a legend, jack of all trades. Yeah, well,
he
seems like he's had a bit of everything. Ticking the boxes.
That's it. Well, when you've got every record, you want to get them all in. How many other people have been deported? Maybe he just wants that one on the list. Like Rafa and Roger, got any of them on there? Don't think so.
Well, I think you've just queued up nicely because we've got people in the live chat saying it as well. Gaming with Nate, Rafa 21 is coming soon. Let's get on to this because there's a lot of people. We got a super chat earlier. Apologies, wasn't able to read it out. It just didn't fit with the timing of the show. But with Rafael Nadal, Ollie Patone, who's in the live chat, sent me a really good tweet just before we went live. And he said this: Rafa has never played a Grand Slam without at least one of Federer and Djokovic playing. I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that. I didn't know that until he said it. And that is pretty crazy. Rafa never played a Grand Slam without Federer or Djokovic. Does that mean he can win an Australian Open? I'm going to say no. I really don't believe he can. I'm looking at Medvedev. I'm looking at Zverev.
Yeah.
I don't see him taking a set, really.
It's big.
But anything's possible. Let's be honest. This is Rafael Nadal. If anyone can raise his game and do something special, especially under what's happened, I feel like it makes it more fitting, if you know what I mean.
I want to see his statement. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting because the first press conference that he has to do, they're not even going to ask him about his match against Berankis. They're going to be asking him.
Yeah, no one's going to ask about anything. It's all going to be about this. And if I'm honest, this is Rafa's best chance of winning an Australian Open he's had in a very long time.
Yeah.
No team there as well. He's another name you can throw in.
Yeah. But
he's got an Andy Murray who's a bit shaky.
Let's calm down because we haven't seen Rafa play yet. And if he loses to Berankis or something ridiculous like that, then no one's even going to be talking about it. But you can't ever rule him out. He's always going to be there or thereabouts in slams. You just think just through having the mental fortitude to actually play a slam and go deep in slams, that sort of gets you far in a Grand Slam anyway. So you can't ever rule out Rafa. Come on.
Yeah, we've got Liam saying, could Djokovic retire?
Ooh,
What
I've
do you think
heard
of that?
some people
I've heard rumblings of this. I think it's
what's that?
ludicrous. I'm
Come
going to
on,
dismiss it in straight away. It's a ludicrous theory.
get
But
out.
listen,
I'm
if he's
joking.
to be deported and he's not allowed in Australia for 3 years, he won't be playing that.
Oh, come
What
on.
about if
This
all the
is
others in France? Macron has already said his opinion on the way his stance. He's opting big time for vaccinated. You have to be vaccinated to come to the country as well. I think that could follow the similar rules to Roland Garros as the Australian Open.
Oh,
Is it going to be as severe? Maybe not, but I think it's going to be really tough for Djokovic now.
I'm just hoping by the time we
especially
get round,
if this exemption doesn't hold much footing in any of these places.
I think that where we are in the world at the moment, we're in the thick of it at the moment with the Omicron or whatever you call it, and I think right now it's like a hotbed. I think I'm hoping in 3 months' time, because we're supposed to be going Roland Garros as well. Don't forget, I'm hoping that it's going to have died down and this variant is going to be so weak. It's just everybody's over it or had it, got rid of it.
I think that's wishful thinking. I think personally, I'm not going to worry about it by then. I've already got to that stage. If I'm honest, I'm not as bothered by this most recent variant. I feel like I've had my vaccines. There's not much more to do. If I'm going to be having to give it another jab, another booster, I don't think I'm going to take it. I think I've now had enough of the whole thing, and I am going to be doing that. But up until now, I've been very for doing all of this and following the rules. But it becomes a point where enough's enough. I think that's where I've hit now, if I'm honest.
Yeah, well,
but I'm not against anyone who wants to.
I know what you mean, because surely they're just going to be getting weaker and weaker. Like, what's it even going to do? If it's like just you get a sniffle for a day, is that really well? Do I have to get a vaccine if I just get a headache or something next time? It's just going to start getting ridiculous. They're like, what's the symptoms for the newest strain? Oh well, you get like this small little like itch on your arm like once a day. Oh really? I better go and get a vaccine. No.
Liam, they're saying Djokovic 2022 badminton champion.
This one, on your 10th booster, you get a free coffee. It's like America; they're giving away free pizza with their vaccines just to get people to get vaccinated. I was shocked by that. It was just ridiculous.
Well, I've not heard any reports from Djokovic's dad since the news. We had him earlier saying they're holding my son captive. If they don't release him in the next half an hour, we'll fight them on the street, along that sort of lines. But what's going to be happening next? It is going to be fascinating. I can't wait to see what he does say. He's someone who doesn't hold back with his words, does he?
No, he doesn't. I'm interested to hear what he has to say. And sorry, I'm just in one live chat comment there. It's something we haven't discussed, and I know that a few people are bringing it up. We got Sophia here saying no one is talking about the other 5 is that unvaccinated with an exemption people. We don't know who they are, do we? There's no way of us knowing. There's no media circus around anyone else other than Novak Djokovic. If they could just come out and just say, hi, I'm the other 4 people with the...
You've got to remember, it's down to the person to come forward and say that. They're not able to reveal that themselves. Tennis Australia can't say he's been vaccinated, he's not been vaccinated, he's got an exemption, he's not. It's down for the individuals to say that. It's their own personal choice. Djokovic, to be fair, you've got to commend him. He was very brave with what he did. He took the photo, put it on Instagram, and he said, I'm exempt. He didn't have to do that. That was something he took upon himself to do.
Yeah, it's very true.
I've sent you a most recent image. Right. Apparently, it is a photograph of Djokovic's exemption papers.
Ooh, like this. We're just like, I feel like we should have some papers in front of us. Like,
well, you say... we should have some buttons for this, I think.
Like some news buttons like that. Welcome back. Breaking news. Right, let me just find. That's what you're sending me. Oh, for God's sakes, man! Right, so this is the official document. Apparently, for Djokovic's exemption. There it is.
So this is what he went with, and it didn't work out for him. But no, joking aside, the memes have been very funny today.
Yeah.
I must admit. But
That's
they're
a
making
classic
light
one.
of a very, very big, monumental day. I thought that was quite a funny one. Tickled me.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, sometimes it's the more basic ones that just look like they're just thrown together like a hatchet job, which are the funniest ones because you know that they're so fake that it's just funny. But just is what it is. I'm interested to see. Is there any other things like flying in? It was interesting.
No, you got Dustin Brown here tweeting just 1 minute ago. His take, obviously, Dustin Brown. We know what he was able to do at that Wimbledon against Rafa. That's, if I'm honest, that's the main memory I've got of him. It was this fantastic day. I know he's playing challengers every now and then now. He's just said if you wanted to compete in Australia, issue as well. Sorry.
You're
if you wanted to compete in Australia, can you hear me?
Yeah, you just lagged.
If you wanted to compete in Australia at the Australian Open, it'll be more of this down the road. Indian Wells, Miami, Europe, etc. Simply tough to travel and enter countries if you're not vaccinated. That is the reality right now. I'm not able to go on holiday to a lot of destinations if I'm not vaccinated in the UK. That's the way it is, I feel. No, there's going to be more of this for Djokovic. This is just the beginning, isn't it? Yeah, how can you be a tennis player and not be vaccinated when you travel the world all the time? The restrictions are always going to come down on you. But exactly. Then if these continue with all the boosters and stuff, I think now we've got to get to the point where we've tried all these vaccines. Let's move away from that now because it's become so weak, COVID. But listen, we've got to wait for what they say.
Well, this is the interesting thing, isn't it? And that's what everybody's sort of, all the people who didn't get vaccinated, I get the feeling that they're sort of waiting for the time when they just say, right, world's back to normal then. And then they all go, ha, I didn't get vaccinated and I can go everywhere now. And if that actually happens, then fair play. You didn't get vaccinated and you got to just continue with your life. It was very stressful. You had to argue with a lot of people. But ultimately, that if you end up going about your business without having it, then fair enough. I mean, it doesn't mean you won't get it at some point in your life, or if it doesn't, it might not affect you. But if you manage to just go about your life again, then so be it, I guess.
Yeah, another thing I want to tackle with you is this, Ben. So ridiculous. Djokovic legitimately got an exemption, which is an anonymous process. They assessed him on his private medical condition. They didn't give it to him because of his name. I want to talk about this because I'm very passionate about this as well. This whole anonymous process, I don't understand it at all because surely they're going to be sending it in. Most of the players have been vaccinated. So there's not many people going for exemptions. There must be some sort of stuff on the document when they're putting it through, which will have, if it's not got his name on there, will it have his age? Is that a factor what comes into it? Will it be the fact that he's Serbian? Because if they've got a 34-year-old coming to Australia for 2 weeks and he's Serbian, it doesn't take a genius to work out, I wonder who that is. Do you know what I mean? I'm pretty confident that they know. Is it really anonymous? Because I don't buy it at
His
all.
initials on there. Something like that.
Like, there's got to be some kind of data on there. They can't just go blind on the case. So if it's not his name, there's going to be enough for them to work out it's Novak Djokovic.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? I mean, it's a bit bizarre. I'm quite interested.
Look, we've got Eddie there saying what? Anonymous, and it says anonymous tennis player from Serbia who has won 9 Australian Opens and 20 Grand Slams. Is that Filip Krajinovic? No, it's not. It's Novak Djokovic.
And then you've got the guy who's sat there just like doing it. He's like, do I want him to win 21? Not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Do you think it was anonymous? Do you think they knew who it was when they get handed an exemption thing?
I have
Surely they do.
There is no way of knowing that. That's all speculation. What I want to know is what's going on with his team, because I've got this. Obviously, Goran was posting this one earlier on, just while they were waiting for Novak, while he was just in a room somewhere, and they were saying not the most usual trip down under, was all he had to say about that. He didn't elaborate on that one. But as you can see, Novak fan club, the first in there with a post saying, Yuli Face sums it up perfectly. Stay strong, Team Djokovic. Yeah, I mean, you can see in the background there.
And I've got a question as well for people in the live chat and you, because I don't know. But is his team, is Ivanisevic, all of these guys, are they vaccinated?
I don't know.
Have they had the similar process? Are they going through the similar rigmarole?
I don't know. There's no
one's talking about it. Do you know what I mean?
Zero. That's what I mean.
Did they have exemptions? Because I know there is teams, there is players' teams as well. They go through the same process. They're trying to make everyone equal.
There we go. We got some people jumping in saying, yes, they are. Yes,
okay,
they
so they're all vaccinated. So they don't have to go through any of this.
What do you reckon they're making of all of this as well? Do you reckon this is just like amusing for them? Or do you reckon that they're like, I've just traveled for 20 hours and
it's
now
not amusing, for sure. I think they're really upset.
Yeah, so it's become. I think they probably find it very, very ridiculous. We've got some other people. We've got like the Novak fan club after commenting. They're giving their support. So we stand with Novak. A hashtag being thrown out there now. Interesting, isn't it? This one is that going to be?
See if there's any more news.
Yeah, go and have a little check on there. Going to be interesting to see what else is floating about there on the. What do you call it? Like the Twitter sphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just pop to the live chat, see what everybody else has got to say about this. Oh, well, we got Ollie Paton just talking about Rafa again, saying about, he's never played a Grand Slam, obviously, without Djokovic or Federer being there. Anybody else have we got in this live chat?
We've got Simon Chambers here saying, what a crazy situation. Even though Novak Djokovic could and surely should have avoided all of this by simply getting vaccinated, no one comes out of this well. And you've got to agree, nobody has. There's no winners in this situation. The Australian government are now hated by a lot of people. Tennis Australia is disliked.
Yeah.
Craig Tiley, people are calling for his head. They want him sacked immediately. And let me add, I think he should be, if he is part of this, which he should. He said he's part of it. He's just created an absolute circus of the whole thing. I'm really against this Craig guy. And then Novak Djokovic, he's not come out of this well either, because so many people have turned against him. There's a lot of people who have really stuck behind him and use him as like a political figure for what he's doing. But ultimately, the biggest part of it all, what we are, we're a tennis channel. He's not able to play tennis now. Something we're not talking about at all. Have we even spoke about the prospect on this chat? We've been speaking for 57 minutes. Have we spoke about really the fact that now he's not going to be playing for a 21st Grand Slam?
I think that's
the repercussions of that in the big, his ultimate challenge in life, what he wants to be able to achieve. It's
super sad. Out of everything, when the news came out that he was traveling, I was very happy just because there's part of me that I want to see the best players play the game. And I think it's been echoed by many tennis people around the world. Even though they might not agree with what's been going on and the decisions, they still want to see him play. Everybody wants to see Novak play. Everyone wants to see records being broken. Everyone wants to see people like pushing the boundaries. He's won 9 Australian Opens. People want to see the 10th. I want to see the 10th. I want to see him get double figures in a slam. I mean, how many people do that? I mean, we know Rafa's done it. Other than that, who is there? I mean, it's frustrating because now everybody's going to start putting asterisks next to slams and stuff again. And I just want the end of that. I mean, we've had it already. We've had the default one, asterisks. And we've had the other ones, we're moving the French Open. And we've had everything's always up in the air all the time. I just want to see a normal tournament. Is it too much to ask with the best players? We don't got many years left of this guy. And I just want to see him in his prime time form, Novak Djokovic, playing in his best arena. And unfortunately, at the moment, it doesn't look like we're going to see it. And it's a bit devastating if you're an actual just a general tennis fan of watching the sport and you don't have any alliances towards any of the big three. It does ruin the tournament for sure, because he's the biggest player in Australia. There's no ifs or buts about it. He is. There's no. He is Mr. Australia. If he wasn't Serbian, he'd probably be Australian. So sad.
It
Very
comes back
sad.
to this though. What Sebastian's saying. You can't simply be a professional sports person traveling around the world being unvaccinated. That's his decision, which he's chosen. But it's just not going to work out. It's a bit like Naomi Osaka, what she was doing, not saying I'm not going to do media anymore. Yeah. Ultimately, it's not going to work. It's a nice in theory, and it's like, I understand you have to do this. She had to do it to protect her mental health and the way she was feeling. Fair enough. You do it. Djokovic is doing that to protect his beliefs and what he wants to do. But fair enough. You're not going to be able to play slams. You're not going to be able to play tennis. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, is he going to be? Well, there's some people saying, like, has he had the Sputnik one as well? Like, that was another possible thing. Like, because he's had that one and it's not allowed, does he really want to go and get another one? And like, we still don't know the actual status. It's not confirmed that he doesn't have one. It's just a very, very big assumption because of his stance in the past of him saying that he was sort of like not for vaccinations, really, and he wouldn't want to be vaccinated. He definitely wouldn't want a mandatory vaccine either. So
he doesn't want an experimental mRNA vaccine too, I think he said.
Well, yeah. That
was another quote. Andrew here says something quite good. Australia created the exemption process. Novak played by the rules. Australia stuffed up. I personally agree with vaccine rules, but you can't deny that Novak followed the rules currently in place. He played the rules to the best of his ability. I'm sure when he posted that tweet, on Instagram, that photo of him with the bags getting ready to board the plane, he did it with a smug smile on his face with his team, and he thought, this is going to create a big stir in the world. And he thought, you know what? I've done this to the best of my ability. I've managed to get this exemption. They've awarded it to me. It's nothing to do with him. And I agree with this. It's not on him. This is on Craig Tiley at this point. He was the guy who awarded him, gave him a route for this exemption. Shocking. And then it's been retracted. Craig Tiley should be sacked immediately.
Yeah, I mean, or just resign. I mean, this is just a circus created, it seems, by this guy.
It's his fault. Listen, it's his fault. All of this whole stuff, what's happened, he's the reason we've got to this stage we are now, where we're talking about 11 p.m. before some tennis matches, which we're really looking forward to cover, which we are still going to cover. Hopefully you can join us for them. We're going to be on Iga Swiatek, Leylah Fernandez in about an hour and a half's time.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a circus created from Craig. Circus.
What was Craig Circus? Yeah, but has he got his head in the sand right now, or is he going to come out and make some sort of statement so that we can understand what's actually going on right now? Because if anybody knows, he probably knows. I'm sure Djokovic's team has been speaking with him probably religiously over the past, say, 2 weeks or something, trying to get this medical exemption or getting the forms ready or whatever it is required to get Novak into the tournament. And Novak's probably just sitting there, trusting his lawyers, trusting his doctors, and they're compliant with all of the things that Craig Tiley has requested. Craig Tiley is supposed to be in contact with the government and all of the other people with the rules in Australia. And ultimately, he's messed it all up. That's what it just seems like.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Kind of agree. I think maybe we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for everyone's super chats and nice comments you've put in the live chat. Thanks for adding to this debate. This is just the beginning. Let's emphasize that. This is just the day it all is announced and has been broken, the news. We're going to be talking about this for many months to come. What's going to happen next for Djokovic's career? What's going to happen next for Djokovic in Australia? Are other slams going to follow suit? All it's done is just create a lot more questions more than answers. And listen, I, for one, hopefully, I'm praying we get to see the best tennis players play in the best events. That's all I want. And the best thing we can hope for is the world does return some kind of normality, so we don't have all of this division amongst everyone and this politics which is dominating the world right now. Because I don't like the politicians and at all. A lot of them, to be fair, none of them represent me. So yeah, that's all I want to say on that.
Yeah, I have literally no interest in politics, and the fact that all that this COVID stuff is doing is forcing everybody to talk about politics. And I'm just here for the tennis, if I'm honest. I'm not here for the politics. I'm not here for the vaccines. I'm just here because I want to see Djokovic play tennis. If I don't get to see him play tennis, then I don't know. I'm just one less. I don't know. I'm like one less number on my happy meter of watching a Grand Slam. That's all. Like, if he's playing, I'm up there. I'm in the like 8s to 9s. No. If we get all the players. Now he's out, I'm probably down in the 6s and 5s probably. So
fair enough. We've still got a really exciting women's Australian Open.
Definitely.
So let's really get behind that as well. And of course, the men's will do the best to make of it. There's still, as far as I'm aware, all the other players are going to be there. It's just not going to be Djokovic for the moment. And we've got Egda there. We'll end on this D-Day song. And someone else said it as well. Alex, Ben, Triple D song, please. We're still waiting for it. And, well, just wait and see. We'll have to wait to see if Ben's able to do a Triple D song.
Yeah, well.
The day Djokovic got deported. Crazy news. We'll be back later on for a match. We'll be covering Iga Swiatek, Leylah Fernandez. Hopefully you can join us for that. But for now, let's keep our fingers on the pulse with the Djokovic news. Let's see what happens next. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like this video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. And we'll see you very soon.
See you soon.